서울 내에 있는 그 프로젝트들을 그리고 사례들을 이렇게 보니까 또 감회가 좀 새로웠는데요. 그럼 이어서 글로벌 도시 재생 기획을 진행한 우수팀의 발표를 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 저희 첫 번째 발표팀은 팀 성수의 수마야 에자자가 도시 재생 경험과 교훈의 교류, 서울의 성수와 카사블랑카의 헤이 모하마디를 주제로 발표를 하겠습니다. And so now it's time for our first presenter from Team Seongsu. Sumaya Ezaza will be presenting on urban regeneration, exchange of experiences and lessons, Seongsu in Seoul and Hey Mohammadi in Casablanca.
So hello everybody, this is Seongsu team. So as we all know, urban regeneration has aroused as a mean to revive placeness, communities and urban identities by utilizing the local resources more efficiently. In today's presentation, we will share examples of industrial and cultural urban regeneration examples in Seoul, focusing about Seongsu's model as an inspiring benchmark for the potential regeneration of the district of Hay Mohammadi in Casablanca, Morocco. So in today's presentation, we will first introduce 3 representative cases about industrial and cultural regeneration cases in Seoul. Then Seongsu urban regeneration model will be discussed in the second part. And in the third and last part, we will present this case as a benchmark for the regeneration of the district of Hay Mohammadi. So first of all, let me introduce to you the 4 types of urban regeneration in Seoul. We have the historical, the residential, the industrial, and finally the cultural. And as you can see on the pictures, these are some of the very known cases of these types, such as the Pukchon Hanok village, Iwa Mural village, Solo the pedestrian skyline, and finally the oil tank cultural park. So among the urban regeneration projects in Seoul, 3 areas where industry and culture are combined together were chosen as representative for today's presentation. And as you can see on the map of Seoul, on the slide, we have Eunpyeong Seoul Innovation Center located in the northwest of Seoul, Changdong in the northeast, and finally Seongsu in the north of the city. So what are the features and the characteristics of each of these areas? First, we have Changdong urban regeneration. So this area used to lack economic vibrancy due to the impact of a housing project that didn't take into account the other infrastructure and activities needed in the area. Consequently, Changdong was starting to fall behind. So the urban regeneration project here came as an answer and created a new city centers of culture and economy with a lot of components such as startup center, transportation network, Seoul Arena, but also bottom-up project. And one of the famous bottom-up project there is the platform Changdong 61, as you can see on the picture, that promote cultural activities and programs. The second case is Eunpyeong Seoul Innovation Park that focuses more on social innovation, creative initiative, and people gathering through various examples of events and programs. So this project focuses morely on how we can reutilize non-utilized areas in the city, but also how we can support the actors involved in the ecosystem of the innovation and consequently rebuild the city as a cluster with an innovation-based economy. The third and last example is Seongsu as a very special case, as we will see together in the next slide. So back in 1960, this area was designated as a semi-industrial area, but it was starting to decline due to the age facilities and the lack of infrastructure. But in early 2000, a turning point will help to bring the area back to life, and that was the emergence of the creative class in the 80s companies that saw potential in the area. Consequently, Seongsu started to revitalize, and then it was important to get support from the government to regenerate it even more. So we can say that Seongsu is a culture and a community-led urban regeneration on the public and the private level. Some of the initiatives were the development of an innovative industrial space. Here, the goal was to protect and foster the decline of local industry through creation of bookshops as exhibition spaces, public rental stores, and providing touristic information to promote the area for first-time visitors. Also, improvement of the space environment was also focused as initiative there through the activation of the use of bicycles, creating safe and walkable streets to the installation of LEDs and CCTVs, improving the landscape of the streetscape, and finally the expansion of the green spaces. And another project was the development of a creative social space through a project called Understand Avenue, which is a space that supports young entrepreneurs, out-of-school youth, career-entrepreneurial women, startup, and also artists. And it is an open space for community activities and other programs. And as I mentioned before, Songsu is distinguished by the voluntarily initiative led by the creative class that helped to create a culture cluster there. So if you walk around Songsu, you can find street alley art in almost every alley, multicultural spaces, but also fashion companies and pop-up stores and so many more. So the question is, how and where did this cultural expansion start in Songsu? It all started back in 2011 when a former rice warehouse was transformed into a multicultural space called Dalim, which is now a hotspot in the area. So the creative class took advantage of the presence of a lot of vacant factories. They transformed it into studios and workshops, and consequently they created the famous cafe and culture street of Songsu. This also helped to activate the business in the district. And according to SK Telecom Big Data Server platform of 2017, 3 million people per month on average visit Songsu, while 58% of the monthly sales happened there. However, in our opinion, the commercial area there still lacks special planning, so it is important to sustain and to promote these cultural spaces. So as we could see together in the previous slide, Songsu has a lot of characteristics on the macro and the micro level, and it's an urban microzone, but it still lacks some elements that are important for a sustainable development in the future. We can cite, for example, the importance of strengthening the competitiveness of the handmade shoe industry, the preservation of the context of locality and identity, and finally, sustaining and promoting culture there. So as we saw together about Songsu's interest in urban regeneration model, now how can we take this learned lesson and project them as an answer to the urban problems in another context in the world? For here, we choose the district of Hay Mohammadi located in the economical capital of Morocco. As you can see in the land use plan, this district, just like Songsu, is a mixed area with residents, factories, industries, but also a lot of vacant land and brownfield. And also the site knows a lot of dynamics led by the youth, the NGOs, and the Association for Regenerating the Community, and those are considered the creative class of Hay Mohammadi. Another interesting fact is that it holds a national industrial heritage that was safeguarded by an association called Casa Mémoire. So it is the former slaughterhouses of the city that are transforming nowadays into a cultural factory with many cultural events and programs, as you can see in the picture. These initiatives are indirectly regenerating the area, and this can be seen as a great potential to regenerate the district of Hay Mohammadi on a cultural level. So how can we regenerate this district following the example of Songsu? As we could see, it does suffer from a lot of dysfunction, such as the existence of an impoverished community and a lack of an economical development. So it is important to think of ways to activate the community, enhance the environment, and foster the economy in hope of creating a town like Songsu in Seoul. The mean to doing that is finding a turning point that will create the change, and it already exists there, which is the cultural factory that is a catalyst that will activate the district, and consequently, it will create a cultural regeneration. For that, we need to take advantage of the existing artifact happening and initiative and foster a development based on an economic component supporting the youth and promoting culture for activating the district and attracting more outsiders. So to conclude, the project or the cases we saw together have a lot of lessons to learn from, not just for the case of Hay Mohammadi in Morocco, but for other many cities around the world. Songsu seemed more close to the overall context, since we are dealing with an underprivileged community, but also existing initiative that can help to create a cultural-based urban regeneration project. So to conclude, we can say that wherever we are in the world, we should always think to create an inclusive city that supports the communities, the youth, the creation, and the innovation. And those are, for us, the greatest value of urban regeneration. And thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for that presentation. 네, 정말 발표 잘 들었습니다. 사실 어떻게 생각해 보면은 각각 도시마다 고질적인 어려움들이나 그런 문제점들은 좀 공통 분모가 되어서 해외의 다른 도시들에도 그런 좋은 귀감이 될 수도 있고 또 좋은 교훈이 될 수도 있다고 생각을 했었는데요. 이번 발표를 통해서 정말 좋은 사례로 이렇게 해외로 정책이 좀 실현되는 것 그리고 그에 대한 아이디어를 들어볼 수 있었던 것 같습니다. So thank you once again for the presentation. If you think about it, there are some common factors